So if we'll just take a few minutes this evening to look in Esther, I'm going to be looking primarily at Esther chapter 4, but in Esther chapter 3, the king there decides to allow the destruction of all the Jews, basically allow Haman to kill all of them. He gives him the authority to kill every one of them. And Mordecai is trying to convince Esther to intercede with the king to stop Haman or to spare and save the Jews. So if we look at Esther chapter 4, verses 10 through 16, then Esther spoke to Hathach, and I'm probably not saying that right, I think it's Hathach, and gave him a command for Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the king who has not been called, he has but one law, put all to death, except the one to whom the king holds out the golden scepter that he may live. Yet I myself have not been called to go into the king these 30 days. So they told Mordecai Esther's words. So she felt that if she went in unsummoned, that she would be killed, because that was the law, that was the rule. And even though she was the queen, that was his rule for everyone. So continuing on in verse 13, and Mordecai told them to answer Esther, do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Now Mordecai had faith and told her that God will deliver his people, even if she did nothing, even if she doesn't help. But he also warned her that she would not escape destruction by doing nothing. So then he says something different, and different translations, that last line in verse 14, different translations say it a little different, but just kind of paraphrase it. You know, who knows, perhaps you have come to your position as the queen for such a time as this, to be able to save the people. In other words, perhaps this is God's providence at work. So then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, go gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise. And so I will go to the king, which is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. So God gave Esther this opportunity. She could have missed it due to fear, and her fear was very valid. That was the law. She could be killed. But Esther was brave, and she took a chance in faith, believing in God. Even though she knew she was risking her life, she still did it. She was given this opportunity to do good with her position and her influence. It was a chance to save her people, and in the end, she did. We know that she went in, and she was successful, and the Jews were saved, and she did not die. We know that's the way it went. And that's a good example for us, even in just every day. We need to make sure that we do not miss our opportunities. The times when we can do good for others, when we can serve the Lord in some way, and maybe make a real difference in life. Don't let our fears or doubts keep us from doing what God has put us here to do. God guides us so that we are in the right place at the right time. We just may not know it. So we need to remember that we are also a part of God's providence, a part of his plan. He has put us where we are with whatever abilities we have, and we can make a difference and accomplish something for the Lord and for others. Do not let fears or doubts or insecurities keep us from our opportunities to serve him. trust that God has us in the right place where we need to be and that he can use us for good, for his plan. If we look at Proverbs chapter 3, verses 27 and 28, he tells us, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in the power of your hand to do so. Do not say to your neighbor, 'Go and come back, and tomorrow I will give it,' when you have it with you." So we don't want to miss the chance. The time, again, is always now. It's never later. And the same goes for salvation or forgiveness. If we know we need those things, we do not want to wait. Ask the Lord to forgive, and he is faithful and just to forgive us. And we're here now if anyone did need baptism for salvation or anything that we can help you with tonight, now, we have an opportunity for any who has a need. And if there's anything we can do that we can help you with, please come forward as we stand and sing.